Welcome, everybody, to Miles High Takes. I am your host, Michael Miles, and I promise you I'm not high. But you might think differently after today's episode. Today, I'm going to be talking about the WWE's 2024 Royal Rumble. Now, for those of you who may not know what the Royal Rumble is, it is an annual pay per view event held by the WWE. It is considered one of the big four in all of the pay per view events along with WrestleMania, Survivor Series, and SummerSlam. It's held every January, has been for like the last 37 years, I believe it is, going strong. It was held this past Saturday on January 27th down in Tampa, Florida, in Tropicana Field, one of the weirdest baseball stadiums there is because it's indoors and dome and it's in Florida. So that's a whole nother episode. Uh, anyway, I wanted to talk about the Royal Rumble this year, and I wanted to say that it left me a little disappointed. And I'm going to tell you why. This year, was kicked off with the Women's Royal Rumble. But before that happened, the first thing we heard was, hey, let's go. And then you hear that's Pat McAfee's song for the WWE. For all of you who might know who Pat McAfee is with his own show, he streams it on ESPN Plus. Before that, he was a kicker for the Indianapolis Colts, really badass kicker, by the way. And then he did some commentating for the WWE for the longest time. And he comes back every now and again, does some commentating for their shows, but he also, does some performing inside the ring as well. So I wasn't expecting that this year, but I'll talk a little bit more about that down the road. But either way, you hear Pat McAfee's song come on. He comes out. Everyone is all hyped up and excited. I'm hyped up and excited because I love when Pat McAfee comes on to comment on WWE events because the man is just absolutely hilarious. He really is hilarious. He is really good at his job. He's also really good on his own show. I do enjoy watching him. He just seems to have a lot of fun. He is who himself. He's very genuine. I think he is who he is, and that's what you get with Pat McAfee. And I'll take him. Take him or leave him, but I'm going to take him. But after that, we started with the Women's Royal Rumble. And it was a great way to kick it off, by the way. Really great job. Natalia was the very first entrance to the Royal Rumble. Every time I hear her song, I always get a little confused because I keep thinking, Bret Hart's returning or anything because it comes out with that. And so, keeping it into the whole Hart family and everything. So, Natalia came out. She looked great. She looked like she was in the best shape she's been in a very long time. So, I was very excited to see her. She's been around for quite some time, a very popular wrestler. The second entry was probably the most unexpected wrestler that came out, and the most unexpected part of the night for me was when Naomi made her return to the WWE for the first time in 2 years being away from the company. Naomi has been a very fan favorite for a long time. She's very attractive. She's very, very good at her craft. She is just an all around awesome wrestler. She's very athletic. She does an amazing job. And when she came out, it was one of the loudest pops I've heard in a long time from a WWE event. I'd say it might have even rivaled CM Punk's return, Randy Orton's return, Cody Rhodes' return. Those were some big pops that have happened recently. And I think that had a really good chance of rivaling that one because, I was watching it with my son. We watch all the pay-per-view events. We don't really watch, the shows every week because that's just very consuming with our time. We got other things we want to do. It's, there's Monday nights, it's like 3 hours long, it's Friday nights, it's 2 hours long. It's like we got other things we want to do and we need to do. So we can't always watch the show. So sometimes we catch up on it on the YouTube and whatnot. But for the most part, we make time for the pay-per-view events because those are the ones where the big things happen and it's just electric. It's great. But she came out, I was watching it with my son. And as soon as the music hit and the lights came on, he already knew who it was. He was like, "Is that Naomi?" And I was like, "How can you tell already if it's Naomi or not?" And he just knew, like, had a few little hints of green lights here and there, the music, and it was so awesome when she came out. She had like a hood on and a coat. She had the hood over her and everything. She's dancing around, and then she took her hood off, and then boom, everyone exploded and popped, and it was awesome. I was so happy to see her back. She's definitely probably hands down top 10 performer in the WWE women's division. Um, and you could tell that she was happy to be back as well, because that those fans were chanting and cheering for her for about 2 or 3 minutes. It felt like even longer than that, but they were giving her a very, very warm welcome back to Naomi. And kind of like when Bianca Belair was out there a few years ago wrestling, and you could see that everyone was cheering for her and everything, and she was starting to get a little emotional. You could see that in Naomi too. She was like having to cover her mouth, and she was starting to cry and get teary-eyed, because you're in there and you got 48,000 people screaming and cheering and just so happy that you're there, and that's got to be so overwhelming. I have no idea what that feeling would be like, but I would think that I would be overcome with emotion as well. But she is a great wrestler. She has this move called the rear view, where she jumps up and hits you in the face with her rear end. And I have to say, uh that's one wrestling move I would not mind being on the receiving end for that. You know, just saying. I'm just saying. So, Naomi, if you ever want to get in the ring and you need to practice that move on someone, have at it. I'll take bumps all day long. Uh, but when I first saw Naomi, my first thought was, "Fuck yes, she's back, she's back." And then I started thinking, I wonder if Sasha Banks is going to come back. Hmm. Because her and Sasha Banks were tag team partners at the time when they both left the WWE a couple of years ago. Actually, they were banned or kicked out of the WWE because they left an event. I think based off because of some things happening going on with Vince McMahon, I think, or something along those lines. I don't exactly know for sure, so I don't want to you know, say the wrong thing and then get a bunch of shit started. But long story short, they left. Were gone for a long time. Naomi came back, but I was wondering if Sasha Banks was going to be coming back, because it would kind of make sense. You kick it off early with Naomi and you finish it with Sasha Banks. That pop would have been tremendous, huge. And we'll talk about it if it happened or not. But now, don't get me wrong, I was not disappointed in Sasha not coming back. Unfortunately, she did not come back. We never saw Sasha out. But I was disappointed when Sasha didn't come back. I thought that would have been the perfect timing. You had Naomi, but at the same time, I can also see it taking away from Naomi's return as well. But if you spaced it out long enough, where you had Naomi in the second one and you had Sasha Banks at, I don't know, 28, 29, 30, then it wouldn't have taken away from Naomi itself, because she already had her pop. Everyone was watching her. She was in there. Then you had Sasha Banks come back. But that's not quite what happened. Um, but that's what happened, or didn't happen, I should say. The Royal Rumble continued. I'd have to say though that one of the funniest parts of the Women's Royal Rumble was when R-Truth came out, and that dude just cracks me up so much. The dude's hilarious. You know, he's coming out there. I think it was at number 24 or something like that. I forgot who it was that came out before him, but then he came running out behind her, and he gets into the ring, and I'm like thinking, like, but what the fuck are you doing out there? Truth is, like, I can only imagine what the hell this is going to end up being like. And you know, apparently he thought he was entering the men's Royal Rumble, and he gets in there, and he's like, where are all the guys? And the refs and some of the other personnel had to get him out. He goes, there's women in there, right? And so if you know who R-Truth is and his character, you know that that's the kind of guy he is. He's goofy. He's not all there. A little crazy. But that was hilarious. Yeah. But it had me rolling for a long time, and I just thought that was really funny. Um, but then, some of the other wrestlers I wanted to talk about in the Women's Royal Rumble that I thought were just spectacular was Nia Jax. She came out, she looked great. She looked like she was in one of the best shape that she's ever been in her career in the WWE. And like she was just throwing people around. I think she had like 8 eliminations. When she came out, I was like, no, this might be hers. This might be her Royal Rumble this year. Um, we have both of the Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kari Sane were in the Rumble. And then when that happened, I honestly thought for sure that for some I don't know why, but I thought they were going to turn on Bailey, or maybe Bailey would do something to turn on them, because Bailey has this whole plan of, I'm going to win the Rumble, I'm going to get a championship, and I could see her and her character now doing something to eliminate them to make sure that they didn't mess up the plan. But that didn't happen. The Kabuki Warriors were both eliminated without the help of Bailey. Bailey did help them. They helped her. So it kept along good with the story there of Damage Control staying together there. So that I thought was pretty good. Because the look on Bailey's face, it looked you know, like she didn't know what the hell was going on when they first came out. But I think that was part of the plan all along. But there were 3 other entrants that made the Women's Royal Rumble the highlight of the night. I thought it was really cool. We got to see the TNA superstar knockout champion Jordan Grace enter the Royal Rumble, which was a very, very huge surprise to me, because I can't remember ever, being able to see a performer from another promotion come in to the WWE. And it's not like Jordan Grace is joining the WWE, not that we know of. No, she was just there for that night to kind of help out. And I thought that was really cool. I think if we could see some more collaboration, which is something I think a lot of people wanted to see back in the 90s with the Attitude Era, with the NWO and the Attitude era of WWE and WCW kind of coming together and doing something. But unfortunately, that never happened, and WWE ended up swallowing the WCW, where they would all just come together, and now they're all on the same platform there. But maybe it's a sign of something happening further out and more often, and maybe it's something that we'll see a little bit more down the road. But it was the first time I've seen her. I don't really watch, like I say, not like a whole lot of wrestling, the shows or anything like that. But she was stacked. I mean, she was built. She was big. She was strong. I mean, hell, she could have entered one of the men's Royal Rumble. Probably could have taken out a whole bunch of those guys. So I mean, she looked powerful. She definitely had a presence in that ring. The other person that I thought was, a big surprise, it was super jacked to see, was Jade Cargill. This woman she's got it all. She's got the attitude, she's got the build. She is, without a doubt, I would say, the next big thing that's going to be happening in the WWE for the women's division, for sure, hands down. Um, I mean, her her abs looks like just 6 biceps lumped together, pushing out of her abdomen. It's insane what she looks like, and um, I she's got muscles upon muscles upon muscles. She's not like, and she's very fit and muscular. It's amazing. She's definitely got it going on in the WWE, and she will, I would say, for a long time, as long as they can write her into some good storylines, which I think they're going to do just fine, helping out Jade Cargill there. But she's going to be a main event person for sure. Absolutely. And then the final surprise for the Royal Rumble was Liz Morgan. Now, when 30 came around, or after 29, we were sitting there thinking, tossing back some ideas. We were talking like, oh, who could it be? Could it be Sasha Banks? Could it be Liv Morgan? Could it be Ronda Rousey? Could it be Alexa Bliss? We haven't seen any of them for quite some time. But it turned out we got Liv Morgan back, who if I remember correctly, she has been in every single women's Royal Rumble since its existence, which I believe is, I think, been only 4 years now, 4 or 5. So she's been in every single one. I think there's only maybe one or two other people who could say that, which is which is which is an amazing feat, honestly. Um, Capping it all up, Bailey ended up winning the Women's Royal Rumble. I was pretty happy about that. Bailey is one of the four horsewomen of the WWE and is considered to be one of the reasons why the WWE women's division is as big as it is today. It will be very interesting to see her at WrestleMania. We all assume that she's going to pick Rhea Ripley to wrestle against, but you never know. She could have a fallout. There could be something with Io Sky. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not. I don't see why she would pick Io Sky to wrestle when she's been nothing but supportive of Io Sky and everything in Damage Control happening. So who knows? We'll just have to stay tuned and see what happens. You know, April's not that far away, but at the same time, it's a long way to go here for the WrestleMania coming up. But all in all, to me personally, I thought the Women's Royal Rumble was the best part of the 2024 Royal Rumble. I gave it overall a B+ grade. I thought it was really great. The surprise return of Naomi, Jade Cargill, Jordan Grace, Nia Jax, like all the participants I thought was great. It was a great showing. It was just very entertaining. And I thought the pops and the returns were fantastic, which is something the men's Royal Rumble definitely could have used. Next up, I'm going to talk about the Fatal 4-Way match. Now, this match was put together with 3 different storylines coming together with one thing in common: getting revenge on the bloodline, or more or less Roman Reigns. Last November, Randy Orton made his return to the WWE. After being out with an injury for about 15 months, I believe, is somewhere around there. He was gone for a while. AJ Styles also returned after 2 months, who was also taken out by the bloodline, as was Randy Orton. Then you have the megastar LA Knight, who's become a fan favorite faster than any wrestler, performer, whatever they want to call themselves, entertainer, than I can remember in forever. Even Stone Cold didn't take off that fast. I feel like it wasn't until he gave his 316 Stone Cold, I just whooped your ass promo there that really started to take off. So for a while, but LA Knight just came out on the scene. It just worked his ass off, and just fans love him, and I've loved him ever since too, because he does remind me a little bit of an Attitude Era guy. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think we could use a little bit more of that and some of that style of wrestling and some of those promos and everything as well. I think there's a way to get back to that without getting too R-rated, X-rated, like things kind of got in the 2000s and everything. I think there's a fine line where you can have that. And I think this day and age, it's probably not really as warranted as it was back in the late 90s and early 2000s. So, with this Fatal 4-Way match, I honestly didn't expect anyone to beat Roman Reigns for the title during this match, because to me, it would not make sense. Roman is going to have the title at WrestleMania, most likely, by the person who wins the Royal Rumble is going to face that person at WrestleMania. And I'm going to give you my ideas on what I think, or I was expecting was going to happen. This had the making of being one of the best matches in history. So much star power, great storylines, great entertainers, performers. It should have been the show stealer, honestly. But to me, the match fell a little short. It was another same old bloodline thing, where Solo Sikoa comes out, drags the person that's about to win the belt out of the ring. Total snooze fest, very predictable. Here we go again. It's been happening for years and years and years. If it's not Solo, it's Jimmy Uso. Before Jimmy Uso, it's Jey Uso. Either way, it was always something going on that keeps Roman Reigns with the title, and it's just getting a little old honestly, for a while. Um, you know, Roman wrestles 3, 4 times a year. I know a lot of people say he's earned it, but when you are the man on the top with the belt, you need to be out there doing more, in my opinion. Like Seth Rollins, I don't think it's fair that Seth Rollins is just as big of a star, if not bigger, than Roman Reigns, and he's out there performing weekly, busting his ass the way it should be. I'm not saying you have to do it every week. You don't want to have a title match every week, but at least have a storyline. Maybe wrestle at least twice a month at the very least. That I would say. It doesn't even always have to be a title defense. It could be some other storyline or something. But either way, I'm getting off track. But you know, it happens all the time. His opponents get close to beating him, and the bloodline interferes. Roman walks away with the belt. Roman was pretty much dominated throughout the match in this fatal four-way, and then he does a couple of moves, pins AJ Styles, keeps the belt. It was just the ending just felt kind of flat to me. It was just not that great. It didn't really warrant anything. It might it didn't really do anything to advance the story of those three guys and Roman Reigns. It almost seemed like a flat ending. So to me, I I would say I give it a B minus for that one. It wasn't a total stink fest. Like I said, you got four great performers in there, but the storytelling of the action and just how it played out like it does all the time just kind of left me a little annoyed. And so for that, I give it a B minus. Now I'm going to go on to the U.S. Championship match. Logan Paul versus Kevin Owens for the United States Championship. This match had a lot of great athleticism in it because, you know, you got Logan Paul in there, who's a great athlete. KO is as well. And I have to give it to Logan Paul. We know when I first heard he was coming in to wrestle, I was like, oh my God, you gotta be shitting me. You cannot be letting this dude come in here and wrestle with all these other guys. But I have to give him credit. He has come in and he has put on match after match after match and been one of the best performers you could find out there. I mean, the man, like him or not, the dude knows what he's doing in the ring. Um, and I don't know. I'd like to, get one of the wrestlers on this show and find out kind of what their thoughts are on Logan Paul. But you know, I I haven't seen anyone get too rough with him or anything like that, or you know, not pull punches and things like that. So I would say that I think he's kind of accepted into the ring a little bit for how well he can perform. He understands the business very well. He knows what it takes. He likes being the heel, and he does a good job at it. I think he's already naturally a heel because a lot of people don't like the guy. Um, I don't like him myself, but I don't really know him either. So it's kind of hard for me to say I don't like someone I don't really know. I just take things that I've heard and so I piece it together. Kind of like, what most people do. But back to the match. I thought it started out really great, very physical, lots of quick action. Um, you know, I had the same gripe for this match as I did for the Fatal Four Way, where Logan always has someone from his crew in that corner area, or whoever he has to interfere so that Logan can win. This time, Austin Theory and Grayson Waller came out, gave Logan brass knuckles. Which we've seen him use before. But this time, Kevin Owens uses the knuckles on Logan. He saw that Logan had the brass knuckles. He took them off, used them himself. Referee didn't see it, knocks out Logan. Kevin gets the 3 count, wins the match. I thought, yes, this is perfect. Kevin Owens deserves that national U.S. United States Championship. But, the referee then sees the knuckle still on Kevin Owens after he made the 3 count. Decides to, say scrap it. Like, you know what? Sorry. Kevin Owens loses. Logan Paul wins by disqualification. And then KO gets a bunch more shots and stuff in on Logan afterward, which, I didn't like the way that it ended. I was so pumped up and thought that Kevin Owens was going to win the championship, but I think that this storyline can continue. But I saw something online that made me think, what, about maybe LA Knight getting involved in Logan Paul, um, and having a match for the US title. Now, if that was the case, I would be all for that and putting a title on LA Knight. But at the same time, I feel like it would be bad timing because right now LA Knight is such on a high level. I mean, he's in there with Randy Orton, AJ Styles, Roman Reigns, and if you put him down to the United States Championship match, it's going to basically take him down off that pedestal. And right now, he needs to be up there. He needs to stay up there in contention with the U.S. Heavyweight Championship or the World Heavyweight or the Undisputed Championship. He needs to be up in that tier there because he's the guy. He is. He really is. But overall, I give that one a grade B. I give it a B. I thought it was good enough to warrant a pretty good average grade. I thought it was a really good show. I thought it threw me for a loop that as soon as Kevin Owens wins the match, referee sees the knuckles, overturns it, gives it back to Logan Paul. So maybe that feud continues a little bit more, maybe back into WrestleMania. But that's a long way for that feud between those two to continue. So it'll be interesting to see where that goes from here. The final match of the night, there's only 4 because Royal Rumbles take a while. They're usually about an hour or so. I mean, for fuck's sake, you got 30 people in the ring. So men's Royal Rumble start out super hot. We got Jey Uso coming in as the number 1 guy. Then we have, and my son and I were talking. I was like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Jimmy came out and been with number 2 and they have the brothers facing off? And turns out Jimmy Uso came out in the number 2 spot, nailed it. And it was awesome because we haven't really seen them two interact much ever since Jay went over to Raw, with the whole split, leaving the bloodline and everything like that. But one of the things that makes the Royal Rumble fun to watch is to see the comebacks and the whole countdown on who's going to enter the Rumble, who's going to be next, all that stuff with the storylines, just the different people here and there. But this year for the Men's Royal Rumble, for me, there weren't any real big pops or comebacks, honestly. CM Punk already came back earlier, so that wasn't that big of a deal. There was Andrade, if I'm saying it right, and I a lot of people seem to be, happy for him. It wasn't the same kind of pop that Naomi had, it feels like. I honestly don't know much about him, so I wasn't all that excited to see him. I was like, I don't know who this person is, but the announcers try to hype it up like Andrade. I was like, oh, okay, well, yeah, whatever. I mean, either way, but one of the next, I can't remember which number it was, but Pat McAfee's music started playing again, and I got super excited. I was like, are you kidding me? They're going to have Pat McAfee go in the Rumble. So Pat stands up, walks up to the ring. He's on the mat. It's on the outside of it. It was Omos, who's a 7'4" freak Nigerian giant dude, beast of a man. And then I think there was maybe Bronson, maybe was also in there, but there's 2 big guys in there. I think it was Omos and Bronson. And so Pat, hesitant to get in the ring, he gets in the ring, and he's like, no. And he steps back out, and he's like, and then he goes back into the ring, but then he takes a step over the top rope, the other leg over the top rope, and jumps down and eliminates himself. I was so disappointed that Pat McAfee, that was just such a waste. That was such a waste to not have him perform in the Royal Rumble. Like, you couldn't find one other person. I know exactly who I would want to see, but to me, that was a huge disappointment. I was expecting to see some big comebacks, like, maybe like Big E or Brock Lesnar. If one of those two or even both of those guys would have came back, that would have been huge, especially Big E, because we haven't seen him since he broke his neck. Um, but Brock Lesnar, anytime he makes an appearance anywhere, fans go apeshit because the man is just a legend. He's a beast. He's done in the UFC, he's done in the WWE. There's nothing he did in college and amateur wrestling. There's nothing that the man can't do. He's a badass dude. Now, you know, there wasn't even an appearance from Hulk Hogan, who lives in Tampa, and everyone kind of affiliates Tampa with Hulk Hogan. Not, not that I'm expecting to see Hulk Hogan come out and perform at his age and the way and the shape that his body is in and being broken down, but maybe come out, at the beginning, do an announcement, get everyone hyped. I think everyone would have loved to have seen Hulk Hogan there at the Royal Rumble. He is one of only 3 people who have won the Royal Rumble back to back, other than Stone Cold and this year, Cody Rhodes. So I thought that would have been a big deal. But didn't happen. I was really excited when Kofi Kingston came out because Kofi Kingston always puts on a great show. He always has some of the craziest ass saves that you'll ever find, whether it be like jumping on an office chair or leaping off the the rails from where the fans sit onto the cage, or walking on his hands with his feet in the air. Like, he does some crazy shit. Nothing like that this year. I don't know if it's because he got injured last time when he tried to do something or what, but it just did not happen. Very disappointing. Another thing to add on to the disappointment of the men's Royal Rumble. But the thing I thought was really going to happen was the return of The Rock. And that did not happen. There was the time when The Rock came out on Raw a few weeks ago in San Diego, where he made a statement about sitting at the head of the table, the whole Roman Reigns thing. This caused a huge stir among wrestling fans and the media about The Rock coming back to wrestle Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. Then The Rock made an appearance on the Stephen A. Smith show where they talked about that match and, what it would take to happen, what we'd like to see, things like that. So there was a lot of buzz generated. And I know I've heard The Rock talk about many a time saying, if I'm going to do it, we're going to have to do it. It's going to be big. It's, it's got to have a great story. We got to do something we've never done before. But what can you do, really? I mean, I'm not the type of person who's writing for these shows or anything, but you got to figure out something. I don't know what you could do, but it would have been spectacular for The Rock to come out maybe in number 30 and just clean house. I mean, you thought the Naomi pop was huge. I was there in Denver when The Rock came to Friday Night SmackDown. I was there in like the 3rd row. My son was there, got to see Pat McAfee. And, it was when The Rock and Pat were in Boulder for the Colorado Buffaloes football game and all that stuff. And The Rock came out. That was so awesome. It was a lifelong dream because I've always been a big Rock fan. Never got a chance to see him perform live. This is actually the first live event I've been to since I was a little kid. So, going to SmackDown and watching him perform there, it was great. But either way, I thought, what better way to have it than The Rock to come out last night, clean house, challenge Roman Reigns after he wins the Royal Rumble. But unfortunately, that didn't happen. And Cody Rhodes won and is looking to have a rematch against Roman Reigns at another WrestleMania. I'm sorry if I don't sound too enthusiastic about it. I'm just not. I don't know why. I'm just not a big Cody Rhodes fan. I like his song. I like his interest theme. I like his music a lot. It's very catchy, very, very, Seth Rollins like, where everyone's like, whoa. It's really cool and, pumps you up. But he seems like a great guy and everything. And he is very athletic. And, but there's just something for me missing from him. Like, nothing draws me to Cody Rhodes. He's very athletic, but he's also very, you know, average in personality, I feel. It's like he doesn't have the draw of like an LA Knight. I don't know. It just and that and the fact that we're doing the same old thing when we could have had The Rock and Roman's reigns just seems like a big miss to me. Like, here we go again, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, another WrestleMania. Like, I don't think to me it just doesn't feel like Cody Rhodes is the person that should be taking the belt from Roman Reigns. It just doesn't feel like it should be that. Um, I will say one thing that made it better again was R-Truth. He came out, got on the corner of the ring, finally made it to the right Royal Rumble event, the men's, and he's got his hand stretched out like he's in a damn tag team match. He's like, come on, tag me. And again, he just had me cracking up again. I love R-Truth, very entertaining guy, always very funny. I think a lot of the fans like him, and I want to see him get utilized more. I hope this isn't just a small stint in him being back, because the guy still looks like he's in great shape. Let's keep R-Truth back and doing something, even if he doesn't perform necessarily. Just having him around and entertain everyone. It's great. It's great for wrestling, and it adds another value of entertainment that we don't necessarily get from anyone else. Um, Overall, I give this a C minus for the men's Royal Rumble. Like I said, there just weren't a lot of pops, a lot of big returns. If they would have held the return of CM Punk for this, it would have been great. But I feel like they kind of put all their eggs in one basket during Survivor Series. We had Randy Rhodes. You also had CM Punk all at the end. And there was nothing saved for the Royal Rumble this year in terms of like big pops and returns and things like that, which Naomi was great. Jay Cargill, like I said, the women's had some great returns, some great, some great, first time wrestlers for the WWE, but the men just kind of dropped the ball. They had Andrade, who, no offense to the guy, he looks good. He's a great performer, but it wasn't anything to get me like jumping out of my seat or anything like that. But overall, I would say that the Royal Rumble for 2024, the overall show, I give it a B. That's my grade for the Royal Rumble. And that's pretty much my take on the Royal Rumble this year. Um, you know, uh, I appreciate you watching this. If you are watching this, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, hit that like button, leave a comment. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my take on the Royal Rumble. Tell me what you thought about the Royal Rumble. What was your favorite parts? What would you have liked to have seen? What did you think was missing from the Royal Rumble? This is the first episode of Miles High Takes. Hope to be doing this a lot more. And I'm not going to be able to do it without your support. So I'm hoping to get a lot of support out there. If you're listening to the episode, and if you're able to do so, please rate and review this episode. Best thing you could do is share it with your friends, word of mouth, social media pages, all that good stuff. That's the best way to do it. You can also find me and the show on the socials, like Twitter, X. I'm not going to call it X. It's still going to be Twitter. It's going to be Twitter no matter what. Or whatever you want to call it. You can find the show there at Miles High Takes. You can also find the show on Instagram and Facebook at Miles High Takes as well. Make sure to follow and stay up to date, and please tell your friends. You can also email me, email the show, mileshightakes@gmail.com. So if you want to send me a question or a comment in an audio form, be a part of the show, feel free to send that email with that audio file there. And let's keep in touch. Tell me what you thought. Thank you all so much. Until next time, stay on the high ground, my friends.